Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Film Force podcast. This format looks a little different. I don't have a guest, it's just me sitting here with you. And this is actually a new series within the Film Force podcast called The Grove. Now, what is a grove? You might be asking, I've heard that word before, I feel like. A grove is something, as per ChatGPT, it's often used to describe a peaceful, cultivated, or naturally serene area in a forest where you slow down, break things down, and share knowledge. So that's kind of what the Grove is within the Film Forest space. So I'm still going to be doing guest episodes, of course, but kind of sprinkled in between those guest episodes is going to be time where I just sit down and talk about a lesson in my creative journey that I've learned. This Grove podcast, this first lesson can really help anyone who's trying to start a personal brand and who is trying to start their creative journey, whether it's filmmaking, whether it's even music. This all applies, guys. If you're a creator, you're in the right spot. And I'm going to teach you guys some of the lessons I've learned across my pretty young creative journey. And I'm still growing, I'm still learning. So this is going to be a never-ending cycle of me giving you guys content, giving you guys what I've learned along the way and what I think matters. So these lessons that I want to teach you guys, I believe in this stuff. It's stuff that took me, years to learn within the videography space, within the filmmaking space, photography, just kind of like general content creation space. And I want to give it back to you guys so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I did and we all sort of grow and foster that sense of community that I wanted to create and was the goal for this podcast from day one. So every Grove podcast episode is going to start with a quote. The quote of the first episode is that we are not creating to live up to an expectation. We are creating to explore. That is a quote by Rick Rubin, a writer, and I believe he's also a music producer. And he has a book called The Creative Act. I completely 100% recommend that book. It was one of the first ever creative books that I read. And it honestly changed my complete view of content creation and creative expression. Actually made me more comfortable with the creative process. So totally recommend that book. But about the quote, we're not creating to live up to an expectation. We're creating to explore. That leads me to the theme of this episode, expectations. So I want to give you guys sort of 5 of the most important expectations I think you should be managing when you're starting your filmmaking journey. Like I'm telling, you're picking up the camera tomorrow. Let's say you're even intermediate, even advanced. I think these all apply, and I think these expectations sort of don't go away. They just change a little bit, but they're still kind of constant throughout your whole journey because it's important to manage these expectations. With each expectation, I want to give a little bit of a personal anecdote, from my journey. So the first expectation that you guys should all be managing is, social media, and specifically your personal brand and being paralyzed by perfection. So let's be real. It's 2025. You need a personal brand, especially with the rise of AI, especially with the rise of, honestly, these job stealer, robot things. You need to have a personal brand. You need to grow a community of people that honestly recognize who you are as a filmmaker. A lot of the times, comparison culture on social media is often a byproduct of starting a personal brand because you're always comparing yourself, stacking yourself up to people that have more followers than you, have more experience than you. I definitely did that when I was starting my Instagram when I only had 200, 300 followers. People worry about view counts. People worry about being cringy. But to be honest with you, neither of those things matter. It matters that you're posting and you're putting your message out. Especially when you're starting out, you need to sort of exercise that creative muscle that was never there to begin with and kind of just stick to being consistent on social media. Doesn't matter if you're being cringy. You need to manage sort of your expectation of what a personal brand is, especially when you're starting out. It's not going to be, sunshines and rainbows. It's going to be posting every day. It's going to be putting out stuff that you think is cringy, putting out stuff that maybe is not getting views as the bigger sort of superstars of influencers. But even now, I have TikToks and clips from even the Film Force podcast that do not do well. But the ones that hit, the ones that actually get let's say 10,000 views or even more. I think one almost had 200,000 views on TikTok. Those make up for all of the 100 or 200 views episodes. So I know that when I post a clip on the Film Forest podcast on TikTok, Instagram, I know that, it's sort of like entering the lottery, and one of them is going to hit. But it takes you putting in more entries for you to actually win the lottery, making yourself more likely to hit a viral video. But it takes every single day posting. When you're starting a personal brand, you have to give someone a reason to even like or share or comment on your content. And oftentimes it takes a level of consistency that you're not really used to. For me, I had to get used to posting every single day. I had to get used to, okay, sitting down, after work. I used to work a job after work and editing every single night, because I knew one of these is going to hit. One of these has to hit. If I keep posting, one of them will do well. And eventually, the followers come in because you're posting every single day. So when you're starting a personal brand, you cannot be paralyzed by perfection, by the view count, by the quality of the reels even. You just have to be posting. You have to be sharing your message to people, because I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't, the world's just going to leave you behind. The world needs content every single day. If you're not posting every single day, you're not even reaching that bare minimum, someone's going to watch something else. And managing perfection in your own work literally will kill you. It will honestly allow you to be less consistent with your content. It will hinder your progress. I've seen it time and time again with videographers, or they've even asked me, they've come to me and saying, hey, Tony, like, what should I do with this reel? Like, what do you think of it? Is the lighting off? And oftentimes, the things they're worrying about, don't even think about when I post my reels. Like, oh, the lighting in the corner is a little weird, or like this cut's a little weird. Like, I'm like, dude, that's great. This is a great reel. Just keep posting. Like, okay, on to the next one. Because then you get stuck editing a reel over and over and over, and you haven't even posted anything, and days compound where you could have been posting every single day, because you're chasing this perfect reel that might not even hit. I'm telling you, the chase of consistency is far more rewarding than the chase of perfection. I'm telling you this from my own experience. I put my head down in the summer of 2023, and I said, okay, I'm going to post every single day. I don't care what it takes. I don't care if one reel is doesn't do well, or maybe this reel isn't ideal, so to speak. It maybe doesn't have the audio, or it's like 11 p.m., 12 p.m., or 12 a.m. at night, and I just kind of want to go to bed, and I half-ass the reel in a way. I still post it. And that summer, I grew, I think it was like 50. I got like 15,000 followers that summer, because I put my head down. I posted car edits every single day. Every single day. I didn't allow myself to get caught in the chase of perfection. I've been more productive by forgetting perfection and prioritizing consistency. Literally. And that doesn't even just apply to posting, guys. That applies to editing, film work, etc. Even with like short films I make. If I'm worrying about perfection when I make a short film in the editing phase or even the shooting phase, I find that I don't even get stuff done, because I'm just like paralyzed. I keep changing the edit. I keep changing the colors. And then the more you change something, it just becomes far, far less of what it was originally supposed to be. It becomes farther away from the goal. And, that is literally the reverse of, you're doing the reverse effect. You're damaging yourself. You're damaging yourself as a creator. So that's the first expectation. It's managing your sort of expectation of perfection. Honestly, not even managing it, just getting rid of it completely and replacing it with consistency. Expectation number 2. This is a big one. This is something that I had to deal with a lot when I started out, when I started posting TikToks, Instagram, when I was specifically in school around like my colleagues and stuff, is other people's perception of you when you start a personal brand, when you start your creative journey. My expectations have changed drastically on just who I am as a creator as opposed to other people and what that means to me. And I think the first thing you have to realize when you start a personal brand is you are not special. And it is probably not coming off the way that you think it should come off. You're probably thinking like, well, what do you mean I'm not special? Like I have a great vision, and I am a creator, and I deserve to be heard. My voice deserves to be heard. No, you are not special when you're starting out. No one has a reason to be watching your stuff. No one has a reason to follow you. You have to give them a reason to follow you. But the fact of you not being special is probably one of the most liberating concepts if you look at it in the right lens. You don't have an audience expecting a certain outcome. You don't have expectations when you start out. You can explore whatever you want as a creator. So the words "you are not special" are actually very positive and very conductive to going anywhere in your creative journey when you're starting out. Once you actually establish yourself, okay, then you have expectations, then you have an audience you have to sort of meet. But you are not special when you're starting out. You can do whatever you want. You can explore. You are also entitled to make mistakes. You have a lower pressure, like floor than or ceiling than other people right now that are currently like in the industry that have a lot of followers or established directors. You can make mistakes. You have the luxury of making mistakes. You have the luxury of learning. You have the luxury of seeing what works and what doesn't. Once you start realizing that you are not special and you are supposed to be making mistakes and no one cares, that is the most liberating thing. You can try this style of content. You can try shooting sports. You can try shooting cars. You can try shooting nightclubs. You can try shooting artists. You can try shooting anything under the sun. Because you aren't special, you have nothing to lose. You don't have an established personal brand yet. So explore, create. That's the priority, creating. Your vision is what is special. I will say, it's not that you aren't special. Everyone's special with creative vision, but it's not. You're not special in other people's eyes. Your vision is what is special. And you have to convince other people that your vision is special by creating every single day, posting your stuff, getting that awareness that you should be going after if you're growing a personal brand, if you're growing your social media. And this takes time. Be comfortable with not knowing what, the next month is going to look like, where your creative journey is going to end up. You have the luxury of exploring this when you're starting out. And this kind of also segues into a little personal anecdote that I have for you guys. So I used to not be able to take criticism well with any creative work that I made. I used to think criticism was a horrible thing. I used to think like, why, my work's great. I'm special. Like, why are you critiquing my work? Are you saying it's bad? Are you saying I'm bad? I'm a bad creator? I had a marketing internship in the summer of 2023, and through this internship, I got critiqued. Like it was sort of my first ever experience of my work. It was graphic design work mainly, getting critiqued by my manager. I'd send her a graphic. I'd make a graphic for social media. It was a social media internship, and I would make posts for this this app that they were launching. And I was in charge of creating the branding and sort of the cool characters that we can post on social media. I even made like this whole the app. The app was something about like searching for help around your area, and I made this whole like character that they can put on the app. Can be sort of like the mascot, sort of like Duolingo has the I don't want to get this wrong. Duolingo bird. What is the bird? It's a cartoon owl. Yeah, something like that. It was like some sort of cartoon character, and it got shot down by the CEO completely. And they gave me the reasons why. They said, listen, this is not the direction we want to go. This is not what's made for the app. And I didn't know how to take it. You have to learn it. It's a skill. And I didn't know how to take the criticism at first. And the criticism followed even with like my graphic design work. They said you should have to fix all these different things with all these graphics over time. And I started to see it in a better light. I started to see it as the inner resistance is there when I get criticism, even as a creator now. Now I'm working with a production company that I get critiqued a lot on my edits because we do like high end production work for these big brands, and the edits have to be sharp. So we have to worry about a lot of different things. And I'm, pretty new to the game still. So when I receive criticism now, there's that inner resistance that I originally had is still there a little bit, but it's better manageable now. I think that's what's important. It's not to fight that like inner resistance you have. It's that, okay, it's still there. Like I know like I'm still gonna take it a little bit to heart, but I can manage my expectations of it better. I can manage my expectation of what they're actually trying to do for me. And what they're trying to do is help. They're trying to help the project. You're trying to help you as an editor, you as a creator. Because once you take the criticism the right way, and you expect even criticism, you start to actually go after criticism even more. Because then you grow. Now you're rolling. Now the ball's rolling, man. Now, okay, learn this thing. Now I'm not going to make that mistake. And then you just start to exponentially grow. Once you just remove that barrier of that inner resistance and embrace it's there, but push it to the side and just take in whatever criticism someone's giving you, I'm telling you, the amount of growth that I've seen through that, exponential. It would have never happened if I just kept shooting people down. I've learned so much through criticism, and I'm still learning every single day. I'm working on a short film like right now, and I thought the idea was banger. I thought I had this vision for a while on this car film. I'm not going to go too much into it because the film's not out, but I had this streamlined vision. I knew what I wanted to do with this film. I had it in the bag, and I'm sure you guys can relate to me on that. Just having that vision, knowing what you want to do with this, and you're like, this is going to work. But then the way I executed the idea in the edit, it was totally vague and dispersed. The message didn't follow through, and that's what's most important. The viewer couldn't really tell what was going on, and because I showed it to a couple people at the production company that are far more experienced than I am, but they were like, "Man, I don't know what the hell's going on." And this is often more important than the actual vision, because if you're not conveying it in the right way, you gotta get out of your own way sometimes and realize, hey, this isn't making sense to the viewer. But you get so caught up in your vision that you're like, man, this is it. I know what it's going to be like, and I know even how it's going to be received. You set those expectations. But it's like, no, man, you have to see how it actually plays out. And you have to be open. You have to be open to this criticism. You have to be open to people because they're trying to help you out. If your film's not being well received, how do you think these big budget films do it? They do test screenings all the time with audiences. They go back and reshoot it. They go back and do pickup shots. You have to you have to embrace that criticism. Because, yeah, the film makes sense to me, but what's it worth if the film is a mess? Like, let's be real here. I want to submit this stuff to festivals. You can still make authentic art with tweaks for audience terms. Like, it's okay to do that. I used to think it wasn't. I used to think, oh no, like now this is straying away from the original vision. Like this is not what I want to do. And then I stress myself out. But as soon as I realized like, hey man, this is the process. This is how it's going to be. You need to manage this expectation of how your creative work is and how it's going to be perceived and what that process looks like, what the revision process looks like, what the criticism is going to be. And you're not going to know what the criticism is, but you know that it's going to be there. And you know it's going to help you. Well, man, you're golden then. Now you're taking it and running with it, and you're actually making the film like better for the world. And you become a better creator because you realize, what do audiences like? What do they dislike? How is it being perceived? You can still make your work. It's not like you're changing it for the audience. You're just making it easier to be viewed. Again, you're not special. Let's put on our big boy hats here. You have to convince people to sit down and watch your film. Like, especially when you're starting out. You're not Christopher Nolan. You're not Quentin Tarantino. You're not Martin Scorsese. You're not Steven Spielberg. No one's going to just go running to see your film. So you got to put in those extra hours to making and tweaking. Manage these expectations. So the third major expectation that I have realized in my early filmmaking career is the real life balance, so to speak. And I want to sort of talk about it, especially in school, because I started my creative journey at the senior year of my high school journey. And then I went into college and I was doing it then as well. And it was mainly photography at first, and I switched to videography. But this can apply even if you have a day job, you have some other obligation and you're sort of doing filmmaking on the side. So the first thing that I have sort of come to manage better is working on multiple projects. When you're starting out, you can't just be releasing one thing, at least not in my eyes. You have to be working on a lot of things. For me, I'm working on a documentary currently, short film, actually 2 short films, planning podcast episodes such as these, industry work just to pay the bills, planning for future projects, had my graduation, and I had to manage these things even when I was in school too. So like, you have to expect to constantly devoting your free time to this stuff. I think that's the message. It's you don't have the luxury to pick and choose when you're starting out. You have to put your head down. You have to be putting in these hours that no one's seeing. And especially if you have a very demanding previous obligation that you must tend to, well, then you got to just surrender all your free time if you really want this. And that's just how it's going to be. It doesn't change. This is a constant. You talk to anyone that made it, they will tell you the same thing. And I'm not saying I made it. This is why I'm here. I'm telling you what I'm still dealing with. I've come to like compartmentalize stuff in my mind and sort of say, okay, I'm going to be in documentary editing mode for like an hour. And then, okay, I'm going to be in short film editing for an hour. Or then, I'm going to be in social media reels editing for 30 minutes. And it helps also to write your shit down. I use, there's like a stickers app on the MacBooks that's like built in. Like you don't have to install it. I think you just look it up in your little finder. And then there's also reminders. Reminders have been amazing. I also like write stuff down on my notes app, screenshot it, and then I put it as my lock screen. I know like that sounds ridiculous, but that is what works for me, and you have to find out what works for you. Because at the end of the day, it's going back to the chase of perfection. If it doesn't work for you, you're not going to get shit done. So you need to find a process that works for you that allows you to work on all these projects at once. It allows you to be in this creative zone that you need to be in. Everyone's different. You cannot conform to, this guy said you need to do the Google Docs, or you need to do it this way, but I don't like doing that way, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm telling you to find your own way. I'm just saying what I do. But oftentimes, you got to try everything. This goes back to even, you are not special. You can try everything. You got to find your process, man. You got to manage the fact that this is real life balance and you need to be getting stuff done. And if you don't, you will fall behind. You need to be consistent. How are we going to be consistent if you're not organized? Tell me. You have to do this the way that works for you and only you. Maybe it's only you, and that's okay. That's my third expectation is real life balance, expecting that it's going to be hectic and realizing that you need a creative process. You need to be organized the way that you want to be. So expectation number 4 is very near and dear to my heart. It's an expectation that I've just realized I need to manage better. And this kind of ties back into the criticism thing, but it's collaboration versus isolation. What do I mean by that? Well, we all start these creative journeys usually by ourselves, right? We're with our camera, we're shooting, we're starting our personal brand by ourselves, we're starting our Instagrams by ourselves. It's a lonely journey, right? And this journey, at least early on for me, kind of got me used to not needing people to help me, or I convinced myself I don't need people to help me. I've grown to was like 15,000 followers just by posting by myself, operating a camera by myself, editing by myself. I got like my expectation of what this craft was like a one-man band type of thing, and I felt like I didn't need any help. I didn't need anything. I know everything. I know how to edit. I know how to grow a page. I know how to make a good film. You start to get narcissistic in a way. It's rough. I didn't think I needed other people's help, and that I'm so glad that I've now don't believe that anymore, and I'm so much more open to collaborating because you know that I thought oh, being a one man show, that means everything I make is authentically me. It has no it's not poisoned by other people's styles. It's all me, authentically me. That way everything I make is me, and then it gets like narcissistic in that way. And you think like every sort of criticism or every perspective someone's telling you is poisoning your creative vision, and you're actually like damaging your creative journey. It's like, no, man. These people are here to help you. This is a collaborative space. How many people you think are on a film set, feature film set? It could be hundreds of people. How do you think the top dogs? You think they didn't get mentored by someone? They didn't get any creative ideas from other people? I've become so much more open to other people's ideas. And it was through working with this production company that I did. Working on bigger jobs with crews, not just doing these one-man band solo shooters. Because you got to realize when you're scaling, when you're getting to these higher levels of production, there's people involved, man. This becomes like a band, right? Of people, a team, a crew, a family. Obviously, not every shoot's going to be with like people that you really like, but you gotta be comfortable getting perspectives from other people. What is creativity? It's not all about you. It's about everyone. It's about everything you see, everything you learn. Because yes, okay, let's say someone else's perspective might not agree with yours, but you're still able to take that in and then use what you know in conjunction with their perspective or their idea and make something new. You learn so much, you grow so much by being around the right people and taking in, embracing perspectives, expecting collaboration and not fighting it. I think that's so important. And I'm so glad that changed for me. And I realized that, hey, like these people are here to help me. I'm not gonna make it as a one-man band. You need an army to make a film. You need an army. You need people to help you and lift you up and introduce you to new things and experiences, because also, like, I've learned so much from being on these bigger productions that things I didn't even worry about. I became so much better on set. My etiquette, my what I was thinking, my thought pattern, because I actually opened myself up to how other creators think and how they do their own stuff. And I'm like, hey, well, that's actually a good idea. Sure, it's not what I used to do, but that doesn't mean you can't do it because it's different from what you do. Like, you could take someone else's methodology sometimes and say, hey, I'm going to apply this and see if I like it. And if you like it, if it's helping you, then what are we doing here? Why are we getting all upset? So be open to collaborating. Expectation number 5 is understanding that your voice takes time, and kind of tying back into the you are not special thing. Your voice is special. Your vision is special. This voice is sort of like your baby, right? And it's always changing. My voice, I didn't have a voice. None of us really have the voice when we start. And what is the voice? The voice is essentially how you perceive the world, what your creative vision is, what your style is, because you've always had that. You've always gravitated toward a certain style, certain style of filmmaking or thing, like ways you think about things. Like, you have that style, you have that voice, but it's a baby when you start. You have to sort of like do surgery on it and actually grab it from like inside of you and take it out and spread it to the world. But like, if you have a voice but the wrong tools of how to share your vision, then it doesn't matter, right? So I didn't have a voice when I started out, right? It took me 4 years to make a short film that I thought, hey, this is authentically me. This is authentically my voice. It took me 4 years. And it might take you longer, might take you shorter. But I'm just giving you my experience. It took me 4 years to really make something that was authentically me. And that's okay. That's okay to take time, because once you have that voice, man, you can run with it, man. You have your vision. You have the tools in front of you, and you know how to use them to convey your vision. You have the cameras. You have the editing techniques. You have those skills in conjunction with your voice. And now you're rolling, man. Everyone has a camera. Sure, they're expensive, but, anyone with a credit card can go buy a camera tomorrow and start making money with it. So what's the differentiator anymore? The landscape has changed with cameras. Being so entry level. They just came out with like an FX2. I think literally today. It was funny, which is even more of a beginner oriented camera. But they're becoming more affordable. The capability to price ratio it's changed. My first ever video was early 2021 with a Canon M50. I had shaky gimbal operation. I had no voice. I was just kind of pointing and aiming and hoping for the best, right? But now when I do my work, I'm more comfortable with my voice, and I'm more comfortable in my own skin as a creator. The things I'm making, the shots I'm doing, the editing techniques, it's more authentically me, and that takes time through actually just putting reps in, right? Your voice can only be found by doing the work and getting comfortable with your camera system and your creative identity. They need to work as one. It's like the camera has to be like you, and you have to be the camera. And your voice is sort of that guiding light of the camera and what you're doing with it. It's far more than just a tool. It needs to be you, the camera. And sooner or later, you will find that. You will find your voice at some point. There will be like this inception point, or that's like this interception where like, hey, this is it. This is the point where like, I know what I want to do. This is my style. And I'm finally executing that through the work that I'm putting out. And it's only until then so you can make authentic content to yourself. But it's removing those expectations, those barriers of like, hey, I'm frustrated. I don't feel like I have a voice yet. Or hey, like, my shorts aren't getting views, or my reels aren't getting views. Like, maybe this isn't for me. You have to stick it out. This is when people quit, What are you going to quit because you haven't found the voice yet? The voice takes time. Your voice is also your why. If you're having trouble finding your voice, ask yourself why you got into this. Ask yourself why you picked up a camera, why you wanted to even enter this very difficult space, honestly, to make a career in. Once you find that, that's going to power you through anything, man. It's powered me through all the struggles and worries and anxiety that I have about my own career, about how much money I'm going to make, where my career is going to go in a year. I know that, man, like when I do this, I feel alive, and I feel myself, and I'm creating through my voice. That's what pushes me to keep going. That is far more, that overpowers the sort of unknown void of tomorrow. And when you are sure of yourself, you make better art, you make better work. When you're comfortable in your own flesh as a creator, you're not second guessing yourself, man, you make the best art possible. And it's times like this when you're not thinking too much. You make the best stuff. You make the best work. And it's times, I remember even I could look back at a photo album I did, or a film I did, or something like little video. And it's funny, oftentimes I think about, like, I remember how good I felt doing them. Because I like, when I'm watching the video, I'm like, I remember going back to that moment, that shot. And I'm like, man, that whole experience, I felt alive. So it's like a link. The work that you make, the best stuff, is like usually when you're actually feeling alive in the moment. You're not thinking too much. You feel yourself, all those things. So that I think is the most important. You're finding your voice. So that's expectation number 5. So just to recap, I know this was a little long here. Expectation number 1, social media, personal brand, and being paralyzed by perfection. Consistency is more important, guys. Expectation number 2 is others' perception of you as a creator, and you are not special. Expectation number 3 is your real life balance, being consistent, organizing your work. Expectation number 4 is being open to collaboration and steering away from isolation. And expectation number 5, understanding that your voice takes time and that is what makes your work. So you need to explore yourself and set the right perspectives. It's like a habit. You get familiar with bad habits, you will keep those bad habits, right? And it's going to be harder to break them down the line. So if you can manage these expectations when you start out, your journey, man, you will be much more patient as a creator. You set the right habits, you become more familiar with them, you will be unbreakable. You'll make better choices in the field. And you must have the right attitude with this, guys. Like, you have to be patient. You have, like I said, my voice took 4 years to make a work that was my voice, you know? And I'm still like, I'm not even saying I'm the shit. I'm not. I got work to do too. We're both growing. This is what the Grove is all about. This is the connection I want to have with you guys. I want to be that sort of, pick me up, that you guys need. Man, stay tuned for more episodes. I know this was like a long one, but I'm aiming to do like at least one Grove episode in between main episodes, maybe even doing one a week, depending how well this is received, and if you guys like it, if you gain value out of it, which is the most important part. But this has been episode 1 of the Grove. We'll have more episodes with guests, of course, but again, just wanted to give you guys little lessons in between them, little life anecdotes, because I think that's very important, guys. And I want to have that connection. Obviously the guest stuff is great, but I want to be able to sit down with you guys one-on-one, and really talk about the realities of this industry. So thank you, guys. This has been episode 1 of Film Forest Grove. Have a great rest of your day or night or morning, wherever you guys are in the world, and keep on creating. Thanks.